In this example, I want to solve the equation 8 times x to the fourth minus 32 times x squared equals 0. So always with these higher degree polynomial equations, you should start by looking for the greatest common factor that you can factor out. So notice first, these are both multiples of 8. So I can factor out 8. They also both have x's attached to them. You always factor out the lower power. So in this case, we will factor out x squared. So 8x squared is the greatest common factor. Now, in order to figure out what's left, what goes in the parentheses here, one way to do that is to divide by whatever you factored out. So in this case, 8x squared. If you divide each part of this by 8x squared to see what's left. So here the 8's will cancel. X to the fourth divided by x squared leaves you with x squared. Minus 32 divided by 8 is 4, and the x squareds cancel. So let me get rid of the divided by x squared part. I mean, it is ideally you do this in your head, but if you want to write out the division, if it helps you, then you should. But so what you're really looking for is, okay, if I factor out 8x squared, what multiple do I have left over? So that would be x squared in this case. If I factor out 8x squared here, what multiple do I have left over? So that would be just 4 in this case, or negative 4. Okay, one other thing to notice here. So we're left with x squared minus 4. That's a difference of squares. So that can be factored further as x minus 2 times x plus 2. Okay, so now that we have this thing factored, when you solve by factoring, the next step is to set each factor equal to 0. Okay, and now I'm going to work my way right to left this time. So if I subtract 2 from both sides here, I get x equals negative 2. If I add 2 to both sides in order to isolate x in this equation, I get x equals positive 2. If I divide both sides by 8 in this equation, I have x squared equals 0, and the square root of 0 is 0. This gives me x equals 0. So we end up with 3 solutions. I will tell you that the degree, so highest power of x, indicates the maximum number of solutions. So this equation has up to 4 distinct solutions when we see that x to the fourth. In this case, we found only 3 of them, because that x squared is technically x times x, right? So technically we found x equals 0 as a solution twice. We call that a repeated solution. But there's no sense in listing it in your solution set twice. We would just list 0, 2, and negative 2 as our solution set.